must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Tomorrow we receive the BBI report. Those who have been anticipating for this report to come will see it tomorrow. The president will receive it, and the entire country will have a look at the report as starting from Wednesday.
This morning I received notification from the chairman who has been handling the BBI report. Akaniambia ya kwamba wamemaliza na wangependa kuja waniletee, and I have told them that they can bring it on Tuesday, and I assure you that as soon as I receive it, mimi nitasoma, lakini pia at the same time nitapatia all Kenyans waweze waipate, waisome. My only prayer, especially to the political class, kwa sababu mimi najua wananchi hawana shida. Jameni, tusome. This is an opportunity to engage in meaningful and peaceful discourse. We don't want to divide the country. Only a fool will say that there are no issues in this country that do not require addressing. So let us address them.
The biggest thing that has happened to Kenya is to audit the way we live, the way people live. Most African countries have never audited themselves. That's why there have been wars, conflicts, corruption, and so on and so forth. But for Kenya to have decided to stop at one moment and said, come on, why are we fighting? We are fighting because of elections. We are fighting because of corruption. We are fighting because of lack of patriotism. If BBI can bring out some of these issues, Kenya will be the best country that you can always enjoy and think about in Africa. Of course, there will be people who want to take this matter further than what it is. It was merely a collection of views that will be put to test through institutions that are laid down by the law. And after that, the MPs and the country will decide whether there are some questions that need a referendum or not, or there are things that they need to adjust so as to bring quality of service, development for everybody. A shilling for a person. 1 shilling, 1 person. Just as it is 1 vote, 1 man, 1 vote. And that is what it is. That's why countries like South Africa, they don't have a problem. Whether they have voted which government or whatever government, the services will reach everywhere. They have a shilling for a shilling. If you are 2 million people in place X, you will have that 2 million shillings. That is it. It is there so that people cannot quarrel, because politics is not made in a vacuum. Neither distribution of resources are made in a vacuum. And that's my take. Good evening, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from the Republic of Kenya in Nairobi. It is a few minutes past 8 o'clock East African Standard Time. Wherever you are in London simultaneously, our correspondents, Dr. Jeshe Mashate in Uganda, and wherever you are, thank you very much. Good evening. Good evening, viewers on the continent of Africa, wherever you are, standing, walking, doing your work. Thank you very much for keeping Africa alive. And let's keep on going, never go back. This evening, MATSANGA Africa Perspective brings in a perspective of a pre-BBI, a pre-redemption strategy, a pre-redemption strategy analysis of what might, speculation. We are not using the politics of ultrasound because we don't know the baby, we don't know the race, the color. We are only speaking facts that are available from the 9 points that were put forward by the president and Dr. Raila Amolo Odinga of the opposition party in Kenya. Viewers, wherever you are, you can reach us on MATSANGA Africa Perspective and on Punchline Africa Television, the only television in Africa that speaks out openly, without reservation, without fear. It tells it as it is. If you have grabbed land in Zimbabwe, get out. Let people get their land, and they got it. We speak with facts. We don't bring fiction in our television station. This evening, the report is a pre-BBI report. BBI means Building Bridges Initiative. In short, it is called, in conflict resolution mechanisms, is called a redemption strategy. How to change the things, how things operate in Kenya. Since 1992, Kenya has had quite a lot of violence that comes with the announcement of elections. A cycle of elections, parts of elections were conducted. 92 was the worst time, when Kenyans found some of us in London when we were already in a state of refugee status. They filed several applications. This violence comes because of elections. Every time you talk about elections in Kenya, someone will not look at you properly. Someone will ask you, where are you going? How? When is it coming? It is for this reason that the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and a comrade elder Raila Amolo Odinga put their differences aside. You remember very well, some of us, why we are interested parties in these elections, in this PBI, why we are happy that BBI can, maybe, if it comes out tomorrow, could help some of us to stop flying to the ICC. I have a stake, because it is the violence that took us where we are. It's the elections. Elections took Africans, very good Africans. Elections dented people's career. And therefore, any African, any Kenyan who thinks that we cannot pretend, as I can quote President Kenyatta. President Kenyatta said, if we pretend we have no problems here, then we must be very, very derailed. Elections took us to ICC. Some of us took 265 flights. 265 flights. Fighting international agencies. George Soros, Reinberger, United States of America, France, that pays ICC to lock up Africans. If there is a way that this can be removed from here, oh God, remove it. If there is a way that BBI can bring a solution, bring it, Jesus. If there is a way that Kenyans can read and understand that there is no need of fighting when a loser, congratulate the winner, and then the winner accommodate the loser. After all, you drink the same water, you walk on the same roads, you buy the same goods from the supermarket, which is a Kenyan. Why do you dismantle each other? These are the points that MATSANGA, Africa Perspective, would like to look at. Is it the politics? Is it the mindset that every time when anybody talks about elections in Kenya, there is somebody saying, whoa, whoa, oh, whoa, get my people, get this way, go this way. What is the problem? I hope it will be answered in the BBI tomorrow. I believe part of the conflict that has been there, that every time we increase the number of morticians in the city mortuary every 5 years in Kenya, I hope the BBI will solve that. The pre-BBI report is simply like you would be discussing the pre-budget report. We shall have the BBI tomorrow with the president. And on Wednesday, people will look at it publicly. So we shall have a post BBI report. But for now, let's be optimistic that there is hope at the tunnel. There is light at the tunnel, that once for all, nobody again in this country should be taken, should be beaten, should be displaced, should lack a home, should lack where to sleep, should lose a neighbor, should lose a son because of elections. That never again, because of democracy, which is a word that came from Greece, a Greek word meaning freedom or whatever you want of expression, turned into sourness in Africa. The Africa that we want is the Africa that has reconciliation. The Africa that we want is the Africa that has truth-telling. The Africa that we want is the Africa that has restitution. The Africa that we want is the Africa that can learn to forgive. The Africa that we want is the Africa that has restitution, reparations. The Africa that we want is the Africa that has accountability. The Africa that we want is the Africa that has healing process. And that is called redemption strategy. That is what the two leaders went out to map for the Kenyans, for themselves to know that this country, since 1992, has been letting out blood. Blood linked with elections. Blood that comes because innocent people die because they support politicians. Because I support a politician of my tribe, I have to die for what is an exercise like a football. I support Liverpool Football Club. We have lost, we won. But then we won, we have won matches. We never go and beat up those we have defeated. We have shaken hands for 41 years. Actually, this is the 42nd year that my support for Liverpool stands. But I have never beaten anybody with a bottle because Liverpool loses matches. Why do we then fight because I have an election? The support for the BBI is up to Kenyans. For us, international observers and observers, for us, some of us who spoke about redemption strategy for 10 years, for us who were nicknamed Mr. Redemption, go ye. I am happy. Tomorrow when this report comes out, whichever format it is, I'm vindicated. That is the journey of a redemption of a nation. Kenya needs a redemption. Kenya needs politics of soberness, sober politics. The politics of Machiavelli, Nikolai Machiavelli politics that we see today. If a flight has not reached, you say the flight did not reach because you don't want our people. This type of politics. Hello, Kenyans. How long will you live in this type of politics? Time will tell. But tomorrow, we want to thank the president. We want to thank the committee. We want to thank the experts. We want to thank those MATSANGA heroes, some of us who spoke very, very, very seriously on redemption. It takes me back to my own country. When we saw the arms, the guns killing people for over 22 years, some of us said enough is enough. We sat down. President Museveni said, what do we do? The ICC came in to scatter the peace process. He refused. He said, no way. The peace process will go on. Some of us speaking here in front of you on this television station, we took part. I was the leader, the negotiator, the chief negotiator, the chief of the peace process. I negotiated the peace process that ended a war. Never has there been a gunshot ever in northern Uganda as a result of the presence of guerrillas or rebels. That is the pride I carried. That is an achievement that I've done for my people. They can die of poverty. They can die of deficit of democracy. After all, people don't eat democracy. They eat what is there and the peace. You can die of hunger, but you are peacefully dying. It is normal. Democracy in some parts of Uganda is not to 100% because it is evolving. Time will come when everybody will be everybody to walk in the polling station and drop your ballot and go back home. But you see again in our own country, in my country where I come from, the trouble springs from an election. Every time you mention elections in Uganda, Kizza Besigye is on the streets. President Museveni sends troops on the streets. They kill, they beat up people, they manhandle people, they maim people. People have limbs. Bob Wine comes, he wants to play music, he can't play. His equipment destroyed, himself carried like a tomato. Robert Mao, the rest of these people, General Mugisha Muntu, all of them have tried. But it's because of elections. It's elections in Africa always bring tears, violence. What can we do as Africans? Are Africans ready for elections? Do we need elections? Can we go the China way, where we go to borrow money? But China does not hold 5 years elections, every 5 years. You have never heard of people queuing in China, but they lend us money, which we eat and corruptly even stand on our feet and tell people that there is no much lost. Very little was lost. Surely, this is the Africa. That's why BBI is needed. If it can change the lives of Kenyans. Thank you very much, viewers. Let's take a break. And when we come back, I, together with Miriam Ogutu, my co-presenter, on MATSANGA Africa Perspective, live from Nairobi, simultaneous in London, and live from Uganda and Harare. I just want to greet Comrade Rutendo. Thank you very much for fighting for Africa. Thank you very much for fighting for Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is under siege, again because of elections. Chamisa does not want to say, I lost. He says he won. His vote was stolen. Perhaps time has come for Zimbabwe to look at what Kenya has done. Mr. Rutendo, Mataraire, thank you very much, my brother, for voicing some of the issues of land question that lingers in Africa. Unfortunately, my country was not a colony. My country was a protectorate because the white man found us already organized. Thank you very much. Don't go away. Keep watching. This is MATSANGA Africa Perspective, the only program that talks without any notes, the only program that discusses mature politics of Africa without bias, without fear. Let's get there. Let's get going. Anybody who has anything, come and we challenge each other. We shall grow stronger. Punchline Africa TV all the time. Thank you. Keep watching. Tomorrow we receive the BBI report. Those who have been anticipating for this report to come will see it tomorrow. The president will receive it, and the entire country will have a look at the report as starting from Wednesday.
This morning I received notification from the chairman who has been handling the BBI report. Akaniambia ya kwamba wamemaliza na wangependa kuja waniletee, and I have told them that they can bring it on Tuesday, and I assure you that as soon as I receive it, mimi nitasoma, lakini pia at the same time nitapatia all Kenyans waweze waipate, waisome. My only prayer, especially to the political class, kwa sababu mimi najua wananchi hawana shida. Jameni, tusome. This is an opportunity to engage in meaningful and peaceful discourse. We don't want to divide the country. Only a fool will say that there are no issues in this country that do not require addressing. So let us address them.
The biggest thing that has happened to Kenya is to audit the way we live, the way people live. Most African countries have never audited themselves. That's why there have been wars, conflicts, corruption, and so on and so forth. But for Kenya to have decided to stop at one moment and said, come on, why are we fighting? We are fighting because of elections. We are fighting because of corruption. We are fighting because of lack of patriotism. If BBI can bring out some of these issues, Kenya will be the best country that you can always enjoy and think about in Africa. Of course, there will be people who want to take this matter further than what it is. It was merely a collection of views that will be put to test through institutions that are laid down by the law. And after that, the MPs and the country will decide whether there are some questions that need a referendum or not, or there are things that they need to adjust so as to bring quality of service, development for everybody. A shilling for a person. 1 shilling, 1 person. Just as it is 1 vote, 1 man, 1 vote. And that is what it is. That's why countries like South Africa, they don't have a problem. Whether they have voted which government or whatever government, the services will reach everywhere. They have a shilling for a shilling. If you are 2 million people in place X, you will have that 2 million shillings. That is it. It is there so that people cannot quarrel, because politics is not made in a vacuum. Neither distribution of resources are made in a vacuum. And that's my take. Thank you very much, viewers. Welcome back to the second part of our show, the MATSANGA Africa Perspective, live from Nairobi, the Republic of Kenya, and simultaneously in London. Viewers, wherever you are in London, wherever you are in the entire Africa, in Harare, in Cape Town, in Tripoli, in Libya, Cairo, in Accra, in Lagos, Abuja, Conakry, Guinea-Bissau, wherever you are, in Mali, Bamako, Khartoum, Asmara, Kigali, Kampala, Dar es Salaam, Maputo, and Kinshasa. I'm calling Jamena, Bangui, wherever you are. There is Bangui and Banjui. Wherever you are in Africa, thank you very much. Tunis, Algiers, thank you very much. You are watching Punchline Africa TV, broadcasting all the way from here with me in the studio right now to dissect the pre-BBI, the pre-redemption strategy report. You know, when you are doing a pre-debate, you just guess, but don't listen to the ultrasounds. Don't name them. We are using the reports of 9 points that the president and Raila Amolo Odinga reached on. Miriam, take the floor. Take it. Take it away.
All right, and thank you so much. And you did very well on the very first part of the show there. And you mentioned some issues that are quite pertinent in regards to the BBI, and we're going to look at them in depth. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching us from across the world. I know there are some of our viewers right now who are preparing to leave and go for work, who are, I think, living in Australia. I'm not seeing one of them here, but I'm sure they'll be joining us soon. And the rest of you where you are, thank you so much. So, of course, we know that tomorrow, the BBI report that has been under making for the last 1.5 years is being handed over to the president and Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga after the celebrated, or rather the handshake that really rocked the political dynamics in this country, the 9th March handshake on the steps of Harambee House, that is the official office of the President of Kenya. And that day, those images are still anchored in the Kenyan faces. We did not see that coming, Doctor, but these two leaders saw it very important to put their differences aside after Kenyans coming out from a very acrimonious elections in 2017, and it was important for this country to move forward. They felt it was important for them being at the top of, of all these things that were happening to make sure that they brought Kenyans together. So that is what necessitated the building of bridges initiatives. So a committee was formed, and they've been working on collecting opinions from Kenyans across board. And now they'll be presenting the BBI report to the president and the former prime minister tomorrow. It was supposed to have been presented on the 24th of October, but the president was very busy with other, national duties. And so he had to finish that, and also they were looking for the right time. And so tomorrow, I think now is the right time for Kenyans to finally know and not act on speculation or talk on speculation, because some other Kenyans are very worried, seeing by this rhetoric that politicians are making upside down. So they really don't know what's happening. So I think tomorrow it's a good opportunity for Kenyans to really know what's in that BBI from tomorrow moving forward.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Speculative politics always leads to rumors and violence. Speculating and false messages. I've read several messages, including one of the messages written by Oscar Sudi, an MP who has been against President Uhuru Kenyatta for a long time. Also, a maize importer who wants to flood this country with maize, and then his own farmers that he pretends to be supporting will not sell the maize. He says that instead of BBI, they should go to West Pokot. Everybody should go. When the deputy president flies to West Pokot, he flies with the knowledge of the president of the Republic of Kenya. I don't know why these guys never reason beyond certain level. Anyway, you can't blame Oscar Sudi because the school was a very big taboo for him, and therefore reasoning is also narrow. So you have seen exactly what he has said. He's saying that Uhuru should stop the BBI and come to West Pokot. But the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya sent his deputy to go. And there are people, again, I want to dispel this stupidity of rumors of marriage. Each helicopter has got its own model. And each pilot in this helicopters has a code and has got the radar system that tells him whether the situation is good to fly ahead or return or park. So for people foolishly to reason that Dr. Matiang reached somewhere and turned back because he was called by Raila Odinga is stupid. And the stupidity.
Are those the rumors that have been...
Exactly. It is on the Facebook. Okay. Because my role is to debunk. And for me, since I am not going to be bothered and worried by what you call me by names or fat or big or what, is your problem. You write stupid things. I remove you and debunk the theory. If the pilot has said return, you can't force yourself to go into and then we have a disaster.
Because they said the weather conditions are not really appropriate for...
Yes, and can you imagine that Murkomen...
Are they making politics out?
Exactly. Murkomen, a whole senator who guzzled the damn money. Sikia, he's on Twitter. I don't know why this is a man who should not be listened to. A young adolescent male who should have not been given responsibility like that one. He says, MATSANGA locked the offices and ran with the keys because he was with the deputy president. Now look, why are you playing politics? Let this thing come out tomorrow. The deputy president will be there at the inauguration when the report is being handed to the government.
The same report has been fighting.
Yes. Why are they fighting? Do they know something? This report could turn up to be very good to them. I don't know why people don't study the mood and the politics. This report could be very useful for Ruto. It could. You never know. We don't know what is inside there.
From the headlines we saw on the start.
Yes, he could garner. If he mobilizes his people and his party and they win an election, you become the prime minister and you are more effective. You run everywhere in the world.
if the headline is anything to go by.
Yes.
From the start.
So
this morning.
why are people scared? For all these years, some of us broke our hands fighting for the second election. I broke this hand here. My car was smashed. Nobody has ever paid for it. A full Range Rover, which was not bought by money, stolen by like people steal. Nobody even gave me a penny or even for medicine. But look at what it is. To win this election, to bring this country. But since we won this election, Jamen, it has been a war. Oh my God. Oh, this way. Oh, that way. Oh, this way. Oh, this. Where are we heading? Where are we heading? Where are we heading? It's a tragedy.
So there are people who will not have, they will have a very sleepless night tonight.
Oh, yes. Already some people are having very big sleepless nights.
Since the formation of this BBI team, I think, from last year.
Oh, my God.
They've not
tonight.
been sleeping.
So, the points that I want us to bring on table. Me, I have one thing that will set me free. If they solve the problem of elections, if that is solved, if Mr. Chebukati can be given marching orders, by the way, these are views. These are not the end of the legal framework. The legal framework will end up in the parliament. So me MPs who want to debate, who want to reject, who want to amend, who want to put in their views, those who lost the chance can now bring in.
They'll have an opportunity.
And yes, form a question that can automatically become the question for Kenyans to decide. You can't pretend in this country that people don't kill each other during elections.
I think that is what President Uhuru Kenyatta asked last week when he was speaking to, Mount Kenya leadership. I think he was speaking at a public event. He said, anybody who is in this country and acts as if this country is not in a problem that needs to be, sorted. I'm just paraphrasing, but in effect to that, he said that that person really does not know what is happening because there is a problem that really needs a solution. And he said, let's just wait for the BBI when it's out. Now we can debate on what we can see inside what is contained in the draft report. It is a draft report. It's not a bill that has been passed in Parliament. It is something that the team was going around Kenya seeking for Kenyans' view. Now that Kenyans gave their view, and I think that is why Kenyans are very anxious to hear really what is the final thing. And for those who did not have an opportunity to go and give their opinion and views during when this team was collecting across the country, the rest of us were really waiting to know what really did some of these Kenyans that went there and represented us, what is it that they said. And so I think Kenyans are waiting with a bated breath for tomorrow. And, we really want to know, I want to know what is in that, draft report. And
first of all, maybe for our listeners abroad, those who are not in Kenya and who are not Kenyans, these are the issues that BBI was supposed to look at. One, ethnic antagonism. Ethnicity. You remember ethnicity in Africa creates violence, which ends up in conflict, which ends up in war. Two, unhealthy competition. Lack of national ethos. Or ethos. I don't know, we Ugandans call it ethos. Ethos.
Yes, it's ethos.
National ethos and corruption.
Especially that.
Safety and security. Lack of inclusivity and shared prosperity. Devolution. And of course, divisive elections.
So, Doc, I know this is a lot and we are going to talk about, but there's something that caught my attention.
Yes.
The national ethos and corruption. Is this why this thing is being fought by tooth and nail? Because perhaps Kenyans had very wonderful suggestions on how we should deal with corrupt leaders in this country.
Does not want to talk about national ethos
and corruption.
And the corruption. Yes. Because every time when President Uhuru Kenyatta brings something to do with corruption, the leader of my majority in the Senate goes and says there is no law, there is no this, there is no this. You remember when President Uhuru Kenyatta brought this issue of life audit? Murkomen went out in public in Citizen television. He said it can't work because there is no law to anchor it. Murkomen was mentioned in NYS report number 1. He guzzled money there. He guzzled money. In NYS too, he has guzzled money. It is only keeping quiet because people respect. They don't want to bring out. Kenyatta is a very humble man. He doesn't want to, to fight. If it had been other presidents, like some of our presidents, where some of us have to run very fast, there would be a very big war here. Because these guys go and steal, and then they come back, they say, no, it was not that amount stolen, this one. Huh? Then even this one cannot be accounted for. So these are some of the difficulties that the BBI should solve. Do we need more laws? Can there be recommendations on how to tackle corruption? Do we need to go to China way, Singapore way, to put people on firing squad, to life imprisonment, to take away everything from anybody rumored to be corrupt? What do we do with corruption? Do we need more education on corruption? If BBI can tell us more about this, that's what we want. What the Kenyans want.
Exactly, and I think, Doctor, these issues that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Right Honorable Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister here in Kenya, that this is it 8 or 9 matters that they really wanted this committee to go and address. Let's just perhaps look at them, a few of them, just one by one. Unhealthy competition that arises, like we saw in the very good example in the just concluded, Kibra by-elections, where we saw things that we couldn't imagine, seeing. We've seen enough. enough, and we've seen, things in this country. But during these by-elections that happened in Kibra, there are things that happened there that was quite, and made Kenyans very uncomfortable. This unhealthy competition where you cannot see a campaigning vehicle of your opponent and just let it pass. You have to go there and throw stones at it, or you have to feel as if now because you're supporting the other side of the divide, then we are enemies. And Kenyans take this very, very literally. But this comes from the political rhetorics that we've been hearing and the seed of hatred that the politicians have been planting, Kenyans. And unfortunately, some Kenyans are very naive and they take this to heart. At the end of the day, they don't realize that these politicians get to meet somewhere in these special clubs and actually have coffee and strike, business deals, and their lives move on. But the Kenyans and the seeds of hatred that they planted, they continue hating each other. So this unhealthy competition, how should the BBI address it?
Through change of voting system. I'm telling you, I hope BBI touches the way Kenyans vote, the way Kenyans elect their leaders. It should be 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote, 1 man. 1 man, 1 vote, 1 man, 1 shilling. What a year? What is it that you want? There must be a shilling for everybody. Not some people taking 7 billion and then they say, you are useless. No. This is what Kenyans want. Then, because this is your country, if you have 1 shilling, another one has 1 shilling, then you use it. If you use yours badly, don't look this side. And that is equality. Equality does not mean that people should not have a shilling each. Yeah. If you are 400,000 or 4 million people, have that money. Let each one have $1. That's what they do in Britain. That's what they do in Britain. That's why Britain is developed. You can't say you can just throw money in an ocean when there are no people. Money is meant to help people, not to help. You bring your budget, we give you the money, you go and develop. Devolution. How many are you in Kakamega? Yes, 1 million, 1 shilling each. These are some, what was gope hii kitu? Wacha tuzungumize wazi. Sababu, iko watu wengine. Look here. In Uganda, we had this problem. There were people in Uganda who only grow up to go to the army. And there are people, another group in Uganda, that grows to go to school. So the group that went to school went ahead. They had jobs. When the colonial man left, the first administrators came from the Bantu-speaking people. That inequality in Uganda was very real. The northerners were used as army, police, prisons. The armed forces, Uganda army. That's why we got Idi Amin coming. Because there was no southerner who could be brigadier general. All southerners. It's a colonial problem we have here, Jermaine. We were told until Museveni came to tilt the situation, to turn the so-called special class. I'm saying not, please don't quote me wrongly that the other one are not class. The so-called by the British, they called the Bantu people, these are the schoolgoers. Now the northerners from northern Uganda were the army luggage carriers. Beba muzigo ya nini? King rifles, wapi. Look at that. They brought us a problem. By the time of independence and departure, Uganda had 2 countries. Very well organized 2 countries. One country is of educated people. Very well educated. the Baganda, the Bagisu, the Basoga, Wipi, the Itesots, who were closer to us. And the people who had left northern Uganda, and they came down like Okoti Bitek. You remember the song of Lawino and the song of Achol and the Lawino. Those ones came down. They were able to go to Makerere University and grab education. But us, we are told to go to school. The father can kill you if you didn't go to school. If you didn't go to church on Sunday. If you didn't recite the 10 Commandments. Whereas the British went to northern Uganda and they told the northern Uganda, West Nile, Acholi, Lango, where? Karamoja, in fact they told Karamoja, continue wearing naked and we become films. We shall bring a film crew to take your pictures while you are walking naked. We are left. The country was separated in zones. So, when things turned out, the first coup arrived, Mutesa versus Obote. You know why Obote was able, from Lango, was able? Because he lived in Kenya. He was exposed internationally. That's why he was able to go back and mobilize people. The way Kenyatta, Nyerere, and others here, Tom Mboya and others were organizing people. But otherwise, the Baganda were told on the official work. We MATSANGA official work, right? Hello, how many blankets did you enter here? 10. So they divided us on those spaces. Now, if Kenya can get rid of this, of inequality, of leaving some people, so the people in North were not able, the people in North did not want to go to school. They were on the waiting for the army recruitment days. You can see that, and it caused quite a lot of problem in our country. Destabilized the country, made the country not governable. You see, until we came to where we are today. So if BBI can address those type of inequalities in Kenya, where other tribes are not downtrodden on, where everybody, election takes place, nobody is going to fight because of an election. That will be very good for me.
Yes, indeed. And also, just to tie the unhealthy competition, point that was part of, the points that, Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga had suggested to be worked on by the BBI team. Also comes the divisive elections. That is because of how our electoral system is, the way it has been formed, the way it has been happening since, the multi-partyism here in Kenya. 1992, that is where we had, multi-partyism was really introduced to Kenya. And so since then, the electioneering periods have been marred with post-election violence, people, running away from where they stay because they don't feel very safe, and also safety and security. That is something that also was mentioned there. But that we see a lot of that during our electioneering period, a few days to the election or a few weeks to the elections date, you see Kenyans moving from one side of the country to where they feel is very safe, which I feel is very, very unfortunate. But now, the divisive elections, Dr. MATSANGA, I think this we've been saying here every day, every time we talk about the BBI. The only way we can solve this problem is making sure that, and I hope, and I think that has been our prayer, that the BBI has delved into our electoral system.
I don't know, but and I'm not going to suggest until I see. And I promised you that if I don't see a section on elections, I will be the most disappointed human being.
I think Kenyans will be.
I think elections, we must, the Electoral Commission, first of all, Mr. Chebukati, after tomorrow, should prepare his books and the boots and the files to leave. Part of the problem that has caused Kenya to have violence is the electoral system.
So we cannot, if
it's not only Kenya though, in Uganda across there, some ballot papers have not reached. The ones of 2016 they have not reached the polling station.
And electoral reforms is just a foreign word.
No, it's a foreign.
It cannot.
Ugandans are jostling.
Yes.
Today, as we speak, in Kampala,
Yes.
people want to kill each other because the reforms directed by the Supreme Court have not come. So, it's elections everywhere, Jamen, whether you like it or not. And another thing that we said this morning, which we want to repeat, every country, a big country in Africa, has a prime minister. And then there is an executive president, or a president who is able to direct the matters of foreign policy and other things. So if you are the only one who will be left out, that you have executive presidents of the presidential system of America, when you don't have anybody to come and guard the social structures, you don't have them. At least Chinese eat dogs. They know that lunchtime they go to eat dogs. That's why Kenyans complain that they don't go to Chinese. They don't go to Chinese what? Restaurant.
I love
you had some Kenyans complaining so loudly and going to court that we want to go to Chinese restaurant. You go and do what there? The Chinese have a social contract home. They eat only noodles and the dogs during lunchtime. So you want to go and eat a dog? Kenyans made a lot of noise on Twitter. They said, no, our dogs, we want also to be in the restaurant. You see? So we don't have social structures in Kenya that can sustain a presidential system. Impossible.
All right, and also one of the points there.
Okay, some people listening to me might say this point has no support. Let me support my point. Mr. Maraga, bad as he is, he has been sentencing a few people, giving them bail conditions. I want to be honest, and the Kenyans watching this program today to tell me if people who were put on probation are holding the probation conditions. Do we have probation officers here? They are there on book. They collect salary at the end of the month, but they don't follow people who have been given bail conditions. They don't know where they live. If you ask probation officers in Kenya whether they know where that woman, Amolo, who stole the NYS too, some of them don't know. So you can't have a presidential system. But because now the executive cannot function to follow up some of the things, it causes friction between Maraga and the executive. But if you had a prime minister, like Rwakana Rugunda in Uganda, Museveni directs him, go here, go there, go there. I'm going to look after my cows and, this weekend for breeding. Go that side. Relieve pressure from the presidency. So if that one can be recommended, let Kenyans debate on it. It's not a question. There are people saying that increasing money on top, if you increase the post of prime minister and the deputy, it is better to have those posts and have efficient running of the government than have a bulk remain as they are when the government is losing more money. Yes, look at it. Look at it. There is no work. Look, people now, we have lost, may their souls rest in peace. Kenya has a department of disaster preparedness. In other countries, disaster preparedness is a full ministry. Here we have put it under
special programs
under the deputy president, isn't it? It is where it is. So when people see the deputy president flying there, he's the head of the preparedness unit that must arrive on the floor, then bring reports to the president. Now, in other countries, that is not the case. The case in other countries is a full ministry for preparedness must be there to help the people, like the landslides in my county, where I come from, in my district. We are the most vulnerable people in the world because we live on Mount Elgon, the side of Mount Elgon. It has visited us every year. It visits us. God comes to cry tears and pours them there. We go. Several people. So, but Uganda has put a department of preparedness. You get the point? A department that prepares people that there will be a disaster. If BBI can touch some of this. 2, on corruption, some of this money is there. When you tell people to plant trees this way, they plant it that way. Some of them, look at the dams, which could control the flow of some of this water. We have a disaster already. It's showing us that place needs more help in terms of dams, in terms of understanding don't cut the trees. We have been fighting about trees for a long time. These are some of the problems that are in this country. If BBI can address them, ethos, patriotism. Have you seen the anger that every Kenyan has? You just drop, just, walk as you are walking in the street and by accident knock somebody's hand. The way he turns to look at you, you want to run off and hide in the shop. People are angry. People are annoyed. They are angry. People are quarreling with themselves. A nation quarrels with itself every day. You wake up a headline, a man calls 2 children ethos. Is it F-O? What are they called?
It's the same thing.
Tell me, this ethics. You call 2 children and your wife and you rope them. Then you have no shame. Then you tell the police, I put them in a car to go. Huh? These things develop, they pick up because patriotism is not trained. We are not teaching patriotism anymore. You find the school children entering a matatu. They step on the old elders. They don't care. If the elder says nga, they say nga. Let come. Look at this guy. Look at this big what? They insult in a bus. This is happening somewhere in Africa, everywhere. We used to respect elders. We used to respect women who are pregnant. Today we slap women. We used to respect women. You seduce women. You don't slap mediums. You allow them freedom to even insult you and walk away. We see a general manager who slaps an employee in a supermarket. And then the workers who come to rescue the employee just look at the general manager. If I was in that supermarket, that Katolo guy there would not have survived me. Because he has beaten a girl, slapped somebody's daughter. It's not your daughter. Such people, ethics collapsed. People steal at will. There is nowhere in this country where you can call to go and have an interview on a Citizen. I am telling you now the truth from today. Even in Koinange, you can't go there for free. Yes. Ethics. We've lost it. They call you, then he said, Sasa. This word is Sasa. Sasa. Sasa MATSANGA. Eh? Unaenda kwa hoteli unataka kula chakula, kwanza pesa una pesa, lakini kwanza unaanza kutoa pesa kwa sasa boss, sasa mzee. These words, BBI, work on them. Hello. Sasa. Sasa. Hey, Miriam, it is good for you. You leave this place and go home. Some of us who go to these institutions, we suffer. Sasa boss, I think the man is giving you, you think you are being called a boss. Walai, kama uko na kitu, una kitu hapo aton, anaweza kusema if the place is full up. Hey, until you say, what do you mean? But I can see some space here. You say, no, it is full up. That one was booked 200 years ago. But when you turn around and say, aha, sasa, mzee, uko sha, ingia. This is why you see terrorists are able to enter the borders. They drive even their own car that has been manufactured in a forest somewhere and arrive and do something and go back. Because there is this. Can you tell me how elephant tusks move all the way from Malaba up to Mombasa? Tell me.
And we have police roadblocks all the highways until Mombasa.
Yes. From Malaba or Busia, cleared. And they keep on going. If there is, by luck, someone says, no, bring down this container. Because there was a language of sasa, mzee, boss, mudos. These are the words used mainly. Mzee, hata uangalie mimi. Kuangalia nini? Mekusha kuona. I was driving the car. Naona barabara. Why should I look at you? How many people will stand up in Kenya and say no to corruption? BBI might address it. So can we say no to corruption? Can we say Kenyatta seeks to leave a legacy? He wants to wipe out corruption. Kenyatta seeks to leave a united Kenya. He wants to leave Kenya united. Kenyatta seeks to leave a Kenya with inclusivity. The country will be inclusive in politics. Kenyatta wants to leave a decade of free and fair elections without bloodshed. Kenyatta wants to leave people with patriotism who sing the national anthem. Many Kenyans have to get notes to sing the national anthem. Nobody knows the national anthem. 1, 2, 3, stanza 1. I can sing my country's national anthem even when I have not. Museveni has chased me 34 years ago. Oh, Uganda, the land of freedom. You see, we were taught all these things. We lay our future in thy hands, united, free for liberty, together we always stand. You see? But here, our children, they have to cram for a week if there is a national festival. Patriotism, wow. So BBI, if it addresses that, thank you. We are not saying it is, these are the things, but we are speculating maybe the Minister of Finance will give us 200 million. We'll reduce the price of sugar. This is like the pre-budget. That's what we are doing here, Miriam. I leave it to you to come to make your final comments. And we have done our bit. God will hold us not responsible for whoever wants to do a different thing. It's not our problem. The things are here. Corruption, safety, security. How many people in this country help the security agencies? to crack against terrorism. Very few people. So we thank everybody who has tried. And those who have tried, who can, when you see more Haji Abdi from Mogadishu saying BBI is dead, when he has not even seen it, he's also dead before he can see tomorrow. So we don't know. And more Haji Abdi, thank you very much. Again, you have come. But thank you very much for losing your Attorney General. I told you he will collapse.
Which Attorney General?
You are the Attorney General of Somalia.
What happened?
You remember I told you I met this guy in London. And I told him, boss, did you study law? Why do you come to Kenya before a white man exposing all the things? He was the conduit of the judge, the presiding judge. This was the man used to go and lull the presiding judge. I think they had a problem with Famajo over money sharing over the oil money. Yes. And he has been sacked today. These are breaking news for you. Don't forget I'm here in a different capacity, but I'm the one focusing on maritime conflict of Kenya and
Somalia.
Mm-hmm. So the Attorney General of Somalia, I told him in The Hague to just get himself organized in London, mm-hmm. that surely you are a disgrace, a very big disgrace, and may God help you not to be a disgrace. So fair the Attorney General, let God help you in other profession. You can now come to Nairobi freely and tell us more about how they sold those blocks, oil blocks. So slowly, I have dug in this Somalia. I told you, Faramijo better talks to me nicely. Because the MPs we have there, if they will get rid of Faramijo. Because Faramijo is not running the country, he's guzzling the money. The Attorney General blew up the whistle that some money, the Prime Minister, Ahmed Dahi is the name of the Attorney General. That's the guy. And thank you very much more, Haji Abdi. We bumped into each other in London. This guy has been in London for a long time. He has been everywhere. I said, why are you getting involved in these fishy things of the Prime Minister Hassan Harie? Another big thief in Africa. A boy who sells an Indian Ocean without knowing how much water it contains. So there you are.
All right. So by final words, something I picked from the Star newspaper, I think, and they were quoting Professor Olatunde Ojo, a very renowned Nigerian political scientist, and in his analogy in how, when we talk about things and we say, you know what, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's how we love living conversations. But on this case, in reference to the Building of Bridges initiative, perhaps the questions that Kenyans would want to know from this article I was reading is perhaps what is the bridge? Where is the bridge located? What is the length of this bridge? How much weight or tonnage could the bridge handle? And finally, what is the other side of the bridge? And what is the other side of the bridge, and what are we looking forward to? This is in regards to the Building of Bridges initiative, the report now that is out tomorrow. Perhaps these are some of the questions that
you started the questions because this is very interesting.
that Kenyans would want the BBI to respond to. So, what is the first question? Will be this is according to Olatunde Ojo. They also quoted this professor, Nigerian political scientist, and the first question is, what is the bridge?
Yes.
Where is the bridge located? What is the length of the bridge? And how much weight could the bridge handle? And then finally, what is on the other side of the bridge? Should we get over to the other side of the bridge? So I think these are very pertinent questions when you look at them. This is just an analogy, Building of Bridges initiative. But I think the name that formed, the formation of this name perhaps was very significant in the ways in which Kenyan dynamics has been. And, we've not even looked at this.
Can I answer?
Building of bridges, the
Yes.
bridge.
Can I answer? Mm-hmm. What is the bridge? Mm-hmm. The bridge is the material. Mm-hmm. Is we the Kenyans are the bridge. Mm-hmm. It's you. Mm-hmm. When you say where is the bridge, it is here. Mm-hmm. The bridge is here. Mm-hmm. And the length of the bridge is as big as Kenya. The weight is as big as the type of violence.
The hatred.
The accrued rent.
That's the weight.
The
killings.
Accrued rent of hatred. Like accrued rent. That's the hatred since 1992.
That is the weight of the bridge.
That's the weight of the bridge. The length of the bridge is how long? Since 1992. Things have not been going well. That's the length. Now, where is the bridge? Is here in Kenya. What is on the other side of the bridge? Unity.
And there's something you passed there.
Unity.
The weight, this weight that we've been putting on this bridge, can it hold the weight of, the bridge is about to collapse.
Yes.
Because it could not hold.
What can hold the weight of this bridge is elections. Is organized elections.
A reformed
electoral system. The mechanism. Whoa. Mechanism. Change something in Kenya. Change how people, when they hear the word election, oh my God, kila mtu anashika helicopter. You have seen helicopters here. In fact, now there are some people who fly more than driving.
Well, it's convenient with the many rallies and prayers. It's the only way to get somewhere quick. Just saying.
The weight is the unity. The weight. How much weight is the corruption? The accrued hatred, corruption is the weight we are carrying. So if this BBI can remove that corruption, can bring the laws that will fight corruption, we are home and dry.
All right. I hope Kenyans who have been watching and been listening out there, we cannot continue to say that, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The bridge is already here with us, and tomorrow is the big day. So.
Yes. Across the bridge.
See how we cross that bridge.
There is no more sorrow. You have good to sing. Across the bridge. There is no more sorrow. Come on, Kenyans. Wait for the building of Bridges initiative. We want to take this opportunity, particularly myself. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of Punchline Africa TV. We have been there. We saw the violence. If tomorrow this thing comes, let it help God. Let's be helped. Let's get it and run with it. Release it. Hey, release it. Put it. And another thing, advice I want to give. Please allow this thing to be read properly. That politicians should not interpret it for you. Kila mtu wenye mform groups, watu wakuje kusoma. You can read it's online. Many of our television stations like this one, digital, we shall put it online. It will save quite a lot of people. You download it from the main and put it online. Let people read. Let people find out. that will help this country a great deal. Thank you very much from me. Over to you, Miriam.
All right, I don't think I have anything further to add on that. Mine is just to thank you so much for being with us, and hopefully we can meet tomorrow here for another edition of Good Morning Africa, where we bring you the latest from Kenya, but also the news making headlines across Africa. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Very much. This station, therefore, goes on a recess until tomorrow. Thank you very much. This station is for Africa, with Africa, by Africa. We want to thank our sister stations that have carried us on Zuku. Miriam, I told you to ask for Zuku, the Zuku number.
I have the decoder, I just don't use it, so perhaps I'll go look for it.
Yeah, if you want to see us in Kenya, you can reach us on Zuku, one of the channels on Zuku, and where you find our sister company called South Cameroon Broadcasting Corporation.
It is on Zuku, and just before we
Zuku, Ruku, we are on over 2,000 units.
Also on Roku?
Yes,
okay.
We are on Roku, we are on Amazon, we are on Google, we are on Zuku. We run every day.
We are
everything you talk here is always there.
All over the place.
Yes.
Nganga George, thank you so much. I see you've been very active.
He has come back again to disrupt life.
And Chukso Biakor.
Yeah, life so was all right without Nganga.
And the rest of you. Nganga just makes it better. So we'll see you tomorrow for Good Morning Africa show here at 11 a.m. East Africa time. Please make a date with us.
So many people were watching. Thank you very much, Muganda Mugondo.
Megan Sagina Mugodo, I think, and also Prince Nico, Chooks Obiakor, Mohaji, of course, and who else? Geoffrey Kuka, Alois Onyango, and so many people, so many. Ibrahim Rashid Abdi, and who else? Max Manyika also was present, and Peter Chimoba, Joseph Okello, a lot of you. And Joseph Okello said we were very informative, so thank you so much. I'm happy that you gained something. Jacob Kimei, he said good job and wonderful for the updates. And Moses Godwin, so many of our viewers, thank you so much wherever you're watching us from. I don't know, it could be a good morning, an afternoon, an evening, but all the same, we are glad that you had some time for us today.
Ibrahim Abid says Ruto and his Tanga Brigade are already opposing BBI without even reading it. That is Ibrahim from Garissa or Nairobi. Max Manyika always laughs from Texas. Yes, Peter Chewebo. Yes, thank you. Africa Rising. Yes, Solomon Owino. Ali Ahmed. Ndugu MATSANGA, I have a lot. That one is long. Thank you very much. And the rest of you, thank you very much. This is the only station in Africa that talks frankly, openly, without fear of contradiction. Thank you. This station is for us, for Africa, by Africa, with Africa. Ciao.